Hey friends, it's Blake from The Link, and we have Mainstay Minutes, episode number 3. We are with Jeff from Keystone Funding. Thank you, Jeff, for joining us. As you guys know, The Link is an activity and innovation hub in St. Johns County, Northeast Florida. Jeff, thanks for joining us.
Of course, happy to be here, man.
Yeah, so we really just want to introduce you. We want to highlight your business. So would you quickly go over Keystone Funding and you're part of The Link now. So you have an office there. It's almost done. We can't wait to get you in there. So would you just tell us a little bit about yourself and then also about your business?
Sure. I'd be happy to. So first and foremost, thanks for having me on, Blake. I appreciate it. Thanks for carving out some time for me. And also thank you for the introduction to The Link. It was through you that I really found out what it was and got really excited about it. And it's funny. It reminds me a little bit of where I came from because I originally grew up in the Bay Area. And in the late 90s, I worked in Silicon Valley for a minute and got to see the whole kind of dot-com boom and early stages of what Silicon Valley was becoming. And so when you first came to me and really educated me on what The Link was, I feel like it's a little slice of home that's, moved out here with just the technology, the innovation, the co-work.
Too. It was, over a coffee exchange. We both love Kona coffee and we
Yeah.
met up, had over a coffee and you were able to check out the space. I mean, it was really cool and organic the way that we met and the way that you
Totally. Yeah. And I kind of feel like that's the essence of what The Link is and will become, just a workspace where people can get together and grow organically and have those kind of social interactions while they're getting business done. So anyway, to kind of back up to the question that you had asked me. So you mentioned Jeff Antoine with Keystone Funding. So I'm the national sales director, which means I oversee and am responsible for driving sales activities and recruitment for the 3 channels that we focus on. So we focus on retail, which is a traditional, mortgage operation where customers will go directly to a retail loan officer to get a loan. So we've got various branches on the Eastern Seaboard. We'll also be growing that in Florida as well. We also have a consumer direct channel, which is more of like a call center environment. And then the third channel, which I'm really, really focused on right now, is wholesale. And wholesale is it's definitely the most significant channel that we have at Keystone. And so it really is the backbone of our organization. And it's what we're most focused on growing in the near future. And that channel really specializes and focuses on helping mortgage brokers be able to place their loans with a company. And that's a company like us. And so we've got a channel that enables those brokers to send their loans through our channel to be able to, underwrite and fund and do all the things they need to do to get their files through. And so that's really my main focus right now.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'm sure that you guys are staying super busy with everything going on and home sales and things like that. And just everything changing and opening back up after COVID, which is, obviously that's even affected the way people are moving around and stuff. So I know a lot of people are happy to have you in Nocatee. I've seen even on social, you've gotten a lot of traction just yourselves, just meeting people. I mean, you're a natural networker, you're a friendly face. Every time I bump into you, I'm excited. And so I know that's one of the reasons we were stoked to have you to be a part of The Link in the ecosystem there. And that's kind of my next question is that you kind of mentioned the Silicon Valley, but what made you in your business really want to join and be a part of The Link?
Yeah, that's a great point. So obviously we transitioned to a remote work environment, like every other organization. And it was a business need that we had to kind of work towards. But much like anything else, I think there's a pent up demand and desire to have, interaction again within the workplace. And as much as I really enjoy working from home and hope to continue to have a home base that I can work from, you can't replace that synergy that's created in an in-person environment. And The Link really takes that to the next level. And so being able to have a place that I can go to, that I can work, that I can help bring people in and recruit and train people in an environment like that is huge. The other piece that I thought was absolutely insane and how closely it aligned with my needs, especially right now, I've really gotten heavy into social media, over the last, let's say 6 months or so. Yeah. And I've dipped my toes in the water of trying to create some podcasts and have created some video content, but it's rough, and it's not very it's not very professional, let's just say, yet, because I'm still kind of
Well,
new
and
at
I
it.
think
But
there's something special about that, right? Like there is this organic quality of even just us having a conversation right now where, there's something special about that. And people want that authentic self, to shine through. And so I think it's cool you're even bringing that into your space, and you're educating people. And I've seen some of your videos, so I can say you're motivating people, you're challenging people to think, and you're doing it around the space you work in. But it seems like you also have a bigger branching out of just life in general too, to be
right.
successful. And that's kind of my next question in your business, or as you've kind of built businesses and worked with different individuals in different places, around the country. Do you have anything that would be advice that you would give, whether it's for business or just even related to kind of some of the content you have been putting out to some of the people that are viewing?
Wow, that's a really good question.
It's a loaded one, so it doesn't have to
Yeah,
be.
no, you know what? It's a great one though, and it's probably one of the questions that I'm most appreciative to answer, just because I've been very fortunate. You can call it luck, maybe you can call it you know skill, whatever you want to call it. But I've been very fortunate in my career since the beginning, and I haven't always been successful in the mortgage space,
Mhm.
but I have been in an upward trajectory with my career the entire time,
Yeah.
and and I would attribute that to just a couple key components. Number one was early on, I was able to determine that even though I may not be smarter than other people, I could outwork them. And if I could outwork them, I could outperform them. And at the end of the day, performance is what matters, right?
Yeah.
And and although I may have been at a disadvantage with some of the people around me for, either tenure because they'd been doing it longer, some of them were maybe smarter, more skilled, whatever the case was, um, I was truly able to determine that if I placed enough effort and focus in my job and what I did, I could outperform other people. And that to me was really eye-opening, because I realized I'm in control of my destiny. I'm in control of my career. And it's not as much based on a predetermined skill set or ability as much as it is my willingness, to really focus and work hard. So that was one of the early learnings. The other thing was kind of cracking the code on climbing the corporate ladder. And and it's something that I'm really passionate about teaching. It's one of the things that I've used when I'm mentoring people within the organizations that I've worked. And I work for a mortgage company, but my entire career was spent with the three big banks,
Yeah.
the biggest in the country, and it doesn't get more corporate than that, right? And so within those environments, I was able to really learn, how to effectively navigate and carry myself to build a brand within the brand. And that's what I really teach people. I teach them how to build their own personal brand within an organization that can transcend the role that they're in, and really help them to advance their career and get ahead and get recognized. Quite honestly, that's the most important part.
No, that's really cool. And actually, I was thinking about that last night. I was reading a book and doing through an Audible book of all things, and
I love Audible.
yeah, I mean, it's just I never shut down, so I'm always trying to like stay busy. But one of the things they talked about was the CEO was it was a future CEO was kind of wanting this position, and it was somebody that was in a corporate company and had been there for a long time, and this idea of change agent came up, which is important. But their point was even people internally can be a change agent if they've been there. It's really creating, like you said, your own brand or reputation. And essentially a political advisor came to him and said, you're running a campaign. You're not going to get to that next space unless you put your priorities there, unless you have an
Right.
agenda. And I just thought that was a really cool way of thinking of it, is it's almost like a mini campaign where you are working and, tilling the soil. It's just as important as if you go into somewhere new, which you've obviously done in both places. You've done it in the banks that you're at before, but then now you're doing it as well. And I think it's just a cool way to look at it. That's a great piece of advice, and it's something that I think a lot of business people and even people in general can think of whenever you're representing anything in life, whether it's a company or a brand or just even your own self. What are the priorities, and like what are the things that you want to be known for, like to make your mark? So I think we could have a whole separate conversation on just
Right.
that topic, and obviously that's why you're excited about it. I do have another question of,
Sure.
in your industry, in mortgage, and you talked about the three different kind of pillars you have, but just in general in your industry, do you see anything changing in the future, or anything that you're like, hey, this is something to pay attention to, or that I've noticed?
Gosh, that's a really good question. Yeah, a lot of change, man. And there's been a lot of change. I'm in a very interesting industry. mortgage in particular within the finance or real estate sector is pretty unique. It's very transient. So people move quite often, and it's the nature of our business, so people will be at companies for a relatively short amount of time. It's also one of the pitfalls within the industry. And it's something we can't seem to get away from, but it's something that as a leadership team, whatever company I'm at, we're always trying to overcome that, right? So retention is as big as priority as recruitment.
Wow.
But with that is, the adoption of social media in what we do in building our brand and marketing. And so what I've seen, many of the most successful people are leveraging social media more now than they ever have. And the old print media, and handing out flyers and doing those kind of things has really gone by the wayside.
Yeah.
And so I think from that standpoint, from growth and marketing, seeing so much of it go to digital and go to social media, those that aren't keeping up with that, their time is running short. And the other aspect, our industry is moving further and further in the direction of automation. And so every company is trying to reduce their cost to originate. And we quantify our expense as the cost per loan or the amount of loans funded per employee. And not to get too technical, but we're really, really focused on reducing costs.
I'm learning a lot.
And, yeah, and automating the business as much as possible. And so we're seeing the entire industry progress towards that as quickly as possible.
Yeah, because I mean, thinking about mortgages just from, layman's terms, it's something that, you want to automate, but I'm sure you've realized that being belly to belly with somebody during that process is just as important, and having those conversations in a warm voice to talk to. So it's almost like, how do you, really, and something I've been thinking about, a quote I read the other day from a co-founder of MTV is like, innovation is actually just pairing two things that exist together. And you're kind of doing that, it sounds like, in the mortgage space, where you're taking, literally people that have been doing this for years and know how to do it, know how to have conversations and make people feel comfortable and know all the detail. I mean, they're knowledgeable and they're smart too. And then marrying it with that automation and putting it together. And that's, innovation is born. And that's what we get excited about, of having folks like you guys in the link, because we really want to push that innovation, startups, accelerator, and have that as a part of our ecosystem.
I love it.
So what else would you like people to know about your organization? I mean, you really nailed, I think, a lot of different points. If I didn't know your company before, I feel like I have a good insight now. But is there anything else that, viewers or people at the link, members, people out in the social world, that you'd love them to know about Keystone Funding and Jeff?
Yeah, I appreciate that. So I'd say the two important things. Number one is the founder of our organization is an MIT graduate, and he has an engineering background. So the guy is extremely intelligent, super, super smart. And he is directly responsible for building out a lot of the technology on the back end that we have that's helping to automate the process. But most importantly, to make that experience for the customer much more seamless and smoother than they might experience somewhere else. And so there's a lot of like off the shelf technology that exists, and some of it's fantastic. But his ability to be able to architect and custom design the platform that we have has really enabled us to be able to offer service that I think most companies can't really match. So that's number one. And then number two, we're growing. And so for members of the link or members of the community, whether they're in Ponte Vedra or Nocatee, we're growing, and I'm actually hiring now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I'm going to be building out a sales team.
That people they're hiring.
Yeah, we're hiring. So I'm looking for salespeople right now, anywhere from entry level, just out of college, people that are interested in starting a career with a fantastic organization. We'll do the training. In fact, I'm going to be training most of these salespeople myself in person, at the link. And so, I'm really looking for good local talent that's looking to start a career with a great company.
Absolutely. No, and we're excited to have you at the link. We're excited to have these future members and people come and work and be a part of our ecosystem. I think we're going to have some amazing conversations. So I started on the last episode, I asked, at the end, what are 3 reasons? Give us 3 reasons at the top of your head that just come to you that somebody should join the link and consider joining the link. I mean, you're obviously going to be running business day to day from the link, but what comes to mind for you?
Wow, that's great. So I think first and foremost, and it's a word that's overused, it's cliche at this point, but synergy.
Yes.
And,
No, I love that. I use it all the time.
yeah, I mean, I don't know what a replacement for the word would be, but, it's the link is going to create an environment that will bring so many different individuals with skill sets into a collaborative workspace where that energy is, and I use this saying all the time, a rising tide lifts all boats. And I believe that all of that energy, all that talent, all that innovation is going to help to raise the tide. And everybody there is going to benefit from that direct focus and energy that exists within that workspace. So that's number one. Number two is there's great people that exist there, like you, Raghu, Elaine. The leadership team there is fantastic. They're really committed to creating the right kind of experience and environment for people that want to be there. So that was huge for me, getting to meet you and Raghu and seeing what your vision was for the link. And then number three, you can't beat the location, man.
Yeah.
It's in arguably one of the best spots in North Florida.
Yeah, we're super excited about, all those things. Thank you for shouting out some of the team members too. They're hard behind the scenes. I'm on here talking with folks, but they're all working really hard, and so appreciate the shout out for them. And I appreciate you, answering that question. It's just something that we've been trying to ask members. What made you want to be a part of it? And I would say location is one of the top priorities, and that momentum that people feel. And I'm trying to think of a word for synergy, a replacement word too, but I just think of like metaphors and stuff, more of like, a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You get all the ingredients, you put it together, it tastes good. So I hope that we take it. And how can people, find out about Keystone Funding? Where would you recommend them to go?
You can just go to keystonefunding.com and go onto our website. Or if you want to connect with me on Facebook, that's probably the easiest way. And then I can put you in the right direction or answer any questions. Even though I'm the national sales director, I'm very accessible. So, I'm open to people trying to connect with me or reaching out directly. Don't be intimidated by the title. I'm just your neighbor.
You're very approachable. And I know a lot of people that have met you, and then a lot of mutual friends too, and that's what's been really cool about being in the area. We'll definitely attach your links below and information so people can get a hold of you. So thanks for tuning everybody, guys. Mainstay Minutes, episode number 3 with Jeff from Keystone Funding. Super thankful to have you on, Jeff.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks, Blake.
All right, thank you.